Hello everyone, and welcome back to the channel. JC here with another video on Action Taimanin. Today we're gonna check the new limited supporter, Inage Natsu. But before we start, don't forget to leave a like, share, and subscribe if you enjoy the content. So Inage Natsu is a very good supporter. I do recommend that you get it. Let me explain. There are usually two kinds of excellent supporters. The ones that give an absurd amount of damage for very damage-oriented strategies, like you just use Oboro and strong attackers, and that's it, you eliminate the boss. Or supporters that give you a combination of damage increase and damage reduction. Inage Natsu belongs to the second kind of supporter, the ones that give you both stats. And the activation conditions, while not that difficult, you have to be kind of aware of different things in your setup to use it effectively. And I'm gonna talk about it in a moment. So, let's see. Increased damage dealt against debuff enemies by 16%. That's gonna be 32% when maxed out, which is pretty good. Decreased damage taken by 11% when character is buffed. 11% goes to 22%. That's also good. Extra passive. Normal melee attacks have a 10% chance to increase the skill damage by 22% for 5 seconds every 10 seconds. Also a really solid effect. The only disadvantage is the 10% chance. And the last one, the active. Exhale cigar smoke around that deals damage and ensnares the enemies for 10 seconds. So let's break down this supporter. Number one, the debuff activation, the debuff activation condition is pretty easy to fulfill. Most characters are able to inflict whatever debuff. And in case that you are not able to inflict a debuff, you can just use the Momochi weapons to do so. Then, the buff part. On BR, it is super easy to buff yourself, even if your character doesn't have buffs. Like, if you have a Sledge of Blessing, that's gonna be easy. If you have Spinel, that's gonna be easy. There's characters who buff the party, and there's characters who are going to give you buffs, and also characters that buff themselves. Not necessarily you have to use a supporter. Another character to buff yourself. So yeah, that's a pretty easy condition. And on top of that, the supporters is supposed to be self-sufficient. I wouldn't call it self-sufficient. Like 10% chance to activate that buff. The buff is really strong. It goes to 44%. But that skill damage buff only activates every 10 attacks-ish. So you want a fast multi-hit melee attacker, like kind of Felicia, but I wouldn't use this on Felicia. It's possible to use it, but I wouldn't. Like, I would use it on someone else. So yeah. And lastly, the active. Though it seems really great, it is not really busted, because the AoE is very small. So you have to be like in the middle of a bunch of enemies, and then you use the active, and those enemies are going to be ensnared and they're not going to be able to move. But the AoE is like too small for my liking. So yeah, while strong, snare is really strong, and the duration is also pretty strong. Like, the AoE really hinders the performance of this supporter. But everything else is pretty solid. You can use this on the sub slot, yes, if you have something way better than this skill damage buff on basic attacks, and if your character is not a melee attacker. That's another thing, because if it's not a melee attacker, you don't want to use this on the active. Like, even if the snare is good, as I mentioned, the AoE is so small that it's not really worth it. You would prefer to use Susun as a snare. So yeah, Let's talk first, before we test it, about some synergies. As I mentioned, the obvious synergy is going to be with the Momochi weapons for normal content. Everything other than VR is going to be great to use the combination of Momochi weapons and Inage Natsu, because you automatically get the damage increase just because you do criticals. That's great. Obviously, there's gonna be other things that you can use, other weapons that might help. For example, if I'm not mistaken, Ember, chance to gain Ember. Ember, if I'm not mistaken, is going to count as a buff, because it is a thing that stacks. So obviously we're gonna have the counter, and that counts as a buff. So there's also weapons that buff yourself. Or the party. Sledge of Blessing is an excellent option to use. You don't have to use Inage Natsu with Emily. You can put Emily on your team on VR and put Inage Natsu on someone else to gain the benefits. Like, there's options for sure. Let's see, what other things? Twinkle Riser, pretty easy to debuff the enemy, as usual. Let's see, what else? I'm thinking, I'm checking, guys. These weapons, I wouldn't recommend it. Like, freeze just lasts for a second, so it's not the greatest idea. But yeah, like, if your weapon is able to give you a buff, if your weapon... Cornet of Supremacy, I guess, in that case. Like, Cornet of Supremacy is going to give you a buff that increases the amount of particle charge. So yeah, that could give you the damage reduction. That's another thing. So yeah, be sure to use weapons that give either buffs or debuffs if you need them. If you are able to gain buffs and debuffs by yourself, then you don't need it. Another important thing, Magatama set effects. Like, you can buff yourself with water and wind, and you can like debuff the enemy. I'm gonna use this just to check it with fire. Let's see. Fire has a 10% chance of deal when attacking. This one is good. When attacking, this one, the yin yang, is good. This is when attack. This one is not that great. It's usable, but not the best option. Remove debuff. And what does this one do? Stun, also not that great. Like, you want to use yin yang, fire, water, or wind for a character using Inage Natsu, because you're gonna either debuff or buff yourself. Lastly, we have supporters. While supporters are able to give debuffs, to inflict debuffs onto the enemy, and many of them do it, I actually think that you should go for the buffing part. Like, some supporters that give buffs are really, really good. Like, just by using, probably one of the best options that you could use is gonna be Heaviko, because you get a perma buff. So that's basically saying you're going to permanently activate that damage reduction, which is great. Also, if you inflict a debuff, you're going to have a really good chance to inflict poison. And poison is a debuff that lasts long. Basically, if you inflict poison, the enemy is always going to have a debuff, because you continue to attack it and it reactivates, so the enemy is permanently debuffed. So it's a great combination for Heaviko if you go for mixed builds. Another excellent option is Bodyguard, Evil Bodyguard Momochi Nagi, because she's going to give you speed increase, which is very good if you want to activate that skill damage increase on melee attacks. Using Aneros is also okay, but like, not my favorite, because the buff goes up and down too quickly, in my opinion. What else? Let me just go like this. I'm checking. There's buffs like the one from Chikage. No, this is only damage increase. It's not a buff, is it? Normal attack, increase melee attack by, and penetration. I think not. No, there was another one. The violin girl. The violin girl. Where is she? This one. This one gives you a buff. Another thing that you may want to use is maybe Torajiro with this, so that you are able to increase the duration of your own buffs. But you would put Inage Natsu in the sub slot. This one, like, would I? No, I wouldn't recommend using Red Riding Hood Spinel, because you want to put her on the main. You can put it in the same team, but I do not suggest you put this in the same character, because if you're going to focus on using Inage Natsu, you want to buff your team. So maybe you're going to use Spinel or Emily with Slash of Blessing, and then you're going to buff everyone, so someone could take advantage of this supporter to increase their own speed, but not the one with Inage Natsu, because you would reduce too much your damage, in my opinion. So yeah, keep that in mind. Try to go with supporters that gives buffs rather than debuff, because debuffing is super easy on a character, usually. If you do not trust your own skills, you can use supporters that debuff for sure with either their active or their passive, but usually it's the active that debuffs. So that would take kind of a long time, with some exceptions, perhaps. So, well, in any case, let's check what this supporter can do. We're gonna use Asagi. Asagi really impressed me. Like, I already recorded this video once, but my setting was too high, so I had to adjust it because it was taking forever to upload. So we're gonna use the butterfly weapon. Obviously, crit Magatamas with anti-demon with the ice, and melee with the water. Whatever Magatamas, both 5 out of 5, plus 14, plus 13. We're gonna go mix with this one. It's gonna be Kojinka to inflict a debuff onto the enemy. We're going red to increase the duration. It's gonna be 6 seconds instead of 4 seconds. We're gonna use Senjinka. Senjinka is going to give me a speed increase, but I don't really need it. I could change it for something else, because I have the butterfly weapon. But without the butterfly weapon, this is pretty good. Like, thanks to the butterfly weapon, I'm basically always going to have the... like, 90% of time I'm going to have a damage reduction. Like, whenever they hit me, I lose the stack, so if they hit me well after that, they would I wouldn't have the damage reduction. Unless I use Senjinka. That's the idea. Then, Shunshinka. Shunshinka is going to give me a speed increase. That's another buff on red. And it's one of the main damaging skills, because as you can see, I'm not using a pure scholar skill. I could use perhaps Satsujinka. It is not my favorite, Satsujinka. It has a very horrible weakness in the fact that it's really bad to deal damage to one target. Like, it really would be better if it focused on one target and deal massive damage, but it usually moves to different targets, so I don't like that. Let's see. So yeah, and this one, I could also use this one. And Rakusenka, if you want to go double blue, that's actually fine. Like, you get also a buff with this one. And if you change, I don't know, Senjinka for Rakusenka, that's also fine to get HP recovery. Like, you can go pure blue or blue with red. Also, as I mentioned, I'm going to use the combination of Evil Bodyguard Momochinagi. And I'm also going to use Susune, because I'm going to be debuffing the enemy. How am I debuffing the enemy? With Kojinka, basically. So yeah, skills, weapon, and supporters. So let's test it. As you can see, my Asagi is level 81. I do not have HP recovery. But last time I was able to beat this. I was really impressed of how oppressive and strong this build was. So yeah, I'm gonna see if I manage. As you can see, I have the damage increase. Yeah, but we do want to use either Kojinka on red or the Momochi weapons. That's the other option. If you don't want to go red, using the Momochi weapons would allow you to abuse the debuff part. Okay, there we go. Nice. No damage so far. Well, a little bit of damage, I guess. If we're picky about it. Come on, come on, come on. Do something. There. There. Nice, nice, nice. Perfect. Great. Okay, I guess I do this. Come on. There we go. I'm going to be able to, I guess, ultimate in just a second. Nice. So yeah, remember that my Asagi is not even max out, which is a very important. Oh, come on. I hate that skill. Like, I hate when it drags me far away from both. Either pull me or drag me far away. Both effects are pretty bad. Yeah, like this. I'm going to use the active to ensnare the enemy. And I guess... Oh, come on. Blah. There. Nice, 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 nice. Like, I have not received, like, any damage. Like, yeah, I have, but... Like, it's nothing. And I already beat this part. Yeah, this combination is pretty good. At least good enough that I would recommend. Oh, come on. No, I don't wanna. No, 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 no. There. Okay, nice, perfect, very good. I just do this and I do a couple basic attacks. Nice. Killing every enemy. Perfect. I just do this. Skill, skill. Reposition myself. Active. Skill. Perfect. Almost done. Nice. Super good. You see? This... Well, this combo is really strong in particular. Because I'm using the skills, the weapon, the support. If you're able to combine everything around buffs and debuffs, then it's gonna be pretty good. Like, I would prefer to use critical Magatamas that gave me like either bleed or fire, but I don't have Magatamas, critical Magatamas that give bleed or fire debuff. That would be way better for the strategy so that I can inflict other kind of debuffs. Like, obviously the speed increase on Kaha Hirako is great, it's excellent. It allows us to abuse this, and the fact that Asagi is a melee attacker is also pretty good. So, what's the issue? You have to be very conscious of everything in your build to use this effectively. Like, I tried this with other supporters, with other weapons, with other characters, and I gotta admit, Asagi was the best one. Sorry if you hear the rain. It started to rain just now. So let's see. I also did a run with Heaviko. I'm gonna explain it. I'm not going to show it, like the advantage and disadvantage. The advantage of Heaviko is that she's able to inflict a debuff, yes, but similar to Segi, she only has one debuff, and it lasts for 3 seconds, so it's not the greatest. As far as I remember, like, let me see. Taunt. Reduce the speed of affected enemies. This one is also pretty good if you go pure. If you go pure blue, it's fine. Yeah. Because it inflicts a debuff, so you gain the damage reduction. But at the same time, you're gonna get deviling, which means that you're not going to be targeted. So that's bad. Also, Devil Link doesn't really pair well with the damage reduction, because as long as it's active, you're not targeted and you recover HP. So it's kind of counterproductive. So yeah, like, while I use it on Heaviko, and I did manage to... No, yeah, I did manage to finish because she has the natural HP recovery on Devil Link. It wasn't like the greatest option. I also tried it with Noah. Noah failed. She was doing pretty good, but she failed at the very end because this skill doesn't have a way to cancel itself. Like Gremory, we need every skill that locks you in place to be able to cancel itself without special weapons. It is required, because if not, we can lose very easily because of something dumb. Many skills that lock you in place also have a set effect that extend the duration of that skill, because they deal good damage for sure, but it's also counterproductive, Gremory. So yeah, like, even though my Noah, as you can see, it was level 77, she performed pretty well. This was the build along with Natsu. So yeah, and the good thing is that Noah is able to inflict with... She heals with Rubber, with Sinister Living Dummy. She's going to inflict the Debilitate, which is going to allow you to inflict more damage with Natsu. And gain Super Armor. I don't remember if she gains it as a buff or it's just natural Super Armor. But she does gain buffs like constantly thanks to Anaros. So I'm gonna try it with someone else, but I don't know if I want to. Like, let me think. I need to buff and debuff. I need to buff and debuff. Actually. Let me check the skills. I changed Moral Boost for... Let me check. Oh, I would like to go full green. Okay, I can do this. This weapon, does it increases damage? But I need to debuff the enemy to take full advantage of Inage Natsu. Reduce the enemy's damage. No, because I'm gonna go with green, with a combination of green. So it would be conjure 2 gems, increase damage, decrease the... Checking, guys. Reduce the enemy's damage. No. Yeah, gem support. I guess this is it. I'm gonna go like semi-pure blue. I'm just going to... Who was the character? Yeah, Asagi. So what I do here is that I remove Asagi's Magatamas very quickly, and then I remove her from the party. Then what I do is that I give her the critical Magatamas. One water, one ice, one water, perfect. Then remove, then equip 5, 5, 5, 5, perfect. I'm gonna keep this instead of the other weapon because I'm gonna use Inage Natsu and I want to debuff. And Lapis, though she has debuffs, like I think this is gonna be more consistent. So I use this. I'm also going to use this to permanently gain that defense reduction and also permanently debuff the enemies like super easily. Not only because of my weapon, but also because of the poison. And then, like, what other blue supporter that pairs really, really well? I guess like Anaros, because she's a generic damage increase. If you're facing only one boss, you can put Arabella. If you want to go F2P, you can put Lilim. No, I'll use this one. It's way better. Like, while Anaros is great, I gotta admit that this one is going to be better. So yeah, there we go. I'm going to use this one. I love the the black one. I don't know why. Let's see. Perfect, perfect, perfect. Yeah, yeah. Everything in order. Yeah. What am I losing here? Critical rate, and it's not important. I already have a good amount of critical rate, so I don't need it. So let's see this attacker lapis with buffing and debuffing capabilities, so that I can use optimally Inage Natsu. Like, I wouldn't say that it's great because Lapis is not that great on the attacker role. Even though she can. Actually, she's not critting, like, well, not every single hit is a crit. That's what I mean to say. But yeah, she's actually debuffing the enemy as well as buffing herself. Like, she's always buffed. Like, I wish I had like the other skills to attack. Her red moral boost is like super disgusting as an attack, super great. The pure green and the pure red are really good, in my opinion. There we go. Nice, nice, nice. Hey, stop. Don't move. So yeah, I think that she's a little bit slow, but other than that, she's doing fine. She's really tanky. Like, she's normally tanky, but thanks to the damage reduction, she's doing pretty well at not receiving damage. There we go. Just one more. I do this and done. Perfect. I'm gonna start with the ultimate. Then I'm gonna use the active. And then I'm gonna use my skills. Ultimate. Active. Skills. Like, yeah, I wouldn't use this for most instances and purposes. Lapis specifically. Like, Lapis attacker is not great on blue. Like, I prefer it on red. She's disgusting on red as an attacker. But I want to show more things that you can do with this supporter. Well, I already beat all of them. Okay, not bad. Just to finish, I'm gonna show someone who is melee, but let me check. Like, it has to be pure melee, preferably. I don't wanna, but I guess I will. Like, why do I don't want to use this one in particular? Because Evil Strange isn't exactly like a really good attack in my opinion. Like, damage wise, it is really good because it puts mark, but that's about it. Like, even so, I'll use it. Let me check. Yeah, good Magatamas, nice. I put it here. Then I put Inage Natsu. Inage Natsu. Yeah. Felicia is green, so obviously I'm gonna equip Felicia. And lastly, like, I'm thinking. Yeah, I can use again Kirara. Super great option. So this is going to increase my damage tremendously. And we need to use this basic enhancer. For sure. We are going to use Evil Strange. And the question is, what do I use other than that? No, no, no. Reduce damage taken. Wait a moment. Am I buffing myself? No, I'm not. Even though I wanted to use Blood Sight, I think I'm gonna use Rendering Sight. Immediately after attack. Yeah. I hate these attacks because I have to do a lot of micromanaging more than I like to, but I will. So that I can abuse both effects and also get the damage reduction. Like, it's the damage reduction of the Inage Natsu as well as the skill. And one thing that I didn't mention, as you can see, mine is S level 3. It doesn't really matter that I don't have the other copies. Like, I can get lucky in the exchange facility while I wait for Inage Natsu's renewal. Like, I'm willing to wait because her renewal is going to come with a copy of Inage Natsu. I could also use like Demonite, Nano Machine, but I'll wait. This supporter is good at this S level. And I know, like, waiting 1 or 2 years is like too much. Is definitely not worth it. It's better just to use the nano machines, but I'll see. Okay, you know what? When using this specific weapon that increases the damage and these supporters, yeah, it's disgusting. Wait, what's that? What's that? Unique supporter effect? I guess it's the skill damage increase. I guess. Oh, yeah, here is the intoxicate thing if you want to check it and want to know what Francis does. Wow, it's like usually this attack doesn't deal damage, but with this combination it's disgusting. Like blue damaging Felicia, something that I haven't seen so far. Like, you just abuse the basics and then you use your skill. Abuse the basics to gain the buff. And then the defense increase. Nice. And I do this, and I do this, and... Come on. Basic skill. Oh, why? Take this. I'll interrupt your skill with this. Oh, God. That's the one thing that I don't like about using Felicia. Like, she gets interrupted pretty easily. Nice, perfect. Like, when they do her renewal, she needs to gain some super armor on basics and some skills. Similar to Noah. That's what I would give her. She needs like more to be on par with Lapis. Like I like that she inflicts a debuff, but I would give more skills the ability to inflict mark and adjust some of her skills. Like she really needs good rebalancing. She's not bad, but she's outdated thanks to Lapis. There we go. Nice. So yeah, Felicia is definitely another character that can easily use in Inage Natsu. I use this and... Come on, give me that buff. Give me that buff. There. Nice. To increase my damage. I mean, you can abuse it and just use your skill every time you have it up, but it's also good to time it properly with your buff. But since there are too many enemies... Oh! Here you go. Look at the amount of damage that I do. Oh, let me! There. Yeah, not bad when you truly dedicate yourself to the damage. Like, I am doing this disgusting amount of damage because of a ton of limited equipment. I think everything is limited. Yeah, everything is limited. This supporter, this supporter, this supporter. But you could change it for something else if you want to do even more damage. Like Arabella. And this is also limited, and as it says, increases the skill of Evil Strange. And this is Evil Strange, the all blue. So that's why it deals absurd amount of damage. So yeah, should you roll for Inage Natsu? Probably yes, in my opinion. Let me explain. Supporters that give both attack and damage reduction are really valuable for VR or for the most challenging content, just so that you know. Because you get both survivability and damage. If you go for full damage and with maybe better numbers like a Susune or like a New Year Felicia, then yeah, you're gonna defeat the enemy faster, but you're taking more risk. You can do that if you focus on mind control strategies. Sure, I won't deny that, but that's not the like. Not everyone is going to have the best equipment for Oboro, and maybe they don't have her on a good awakening level, so maybe you cannot rely on her. So in that case, it's just easier to balance your damage and damage reduction. Like an example, White Knight Asagi is super great. It reduces damage taken from demon type enemies and increased damage dealt by 30% when she's 5 out of 5. She's amazing against demons. Another one that is super good, for example, is let me just do this. Momochi Nagi, the original Momochi Nagi, is super great with 24% damage increase and damage reduction for suppressed characters. Heaviko is also pretty good. I don't know like what's the exact number, but as you can see, like she's gonna be something like 22, maybe 24 damage reduction. She's pretty good, and damage increase, by the way. Which other? Like Gal Lilim is another option. Gal Lilim here. Also, we have, if I'm not mistaken, this Shiranui, New Year Shiranui is also a great option. So there's a bunch of supporters that you're gonna see that give you both damage increase and damage reductions, and they are really good. As long as your character has one form of HP recovery, you're gonna be tanking VR pretty easily while also dealing damage. Like Phantasma. Phantasma is usually pretty squishy, but where are the characters? Here. Phantasma is usually pretty squishy, But with Lilim and Momochi Nagi, she becomes super, super tanky. And thanks to her HP recovery skills on red. So Inage Natsu is going to provide something very similar. The only caveat is that you have to be aware of your buffs and debuffs. In VR, that is not that much of a problem because other characters can buff you, even with their leader skill like Espinal. Other characters can debuff the enemies. That's gonna be a trend. Like everyone does strategies that debuff the enemies. So while individually it might seem like too much of a hassle to activate both of her conditions, it is not that difficult on VR. That's why she's pretty good there. So yeah, tell me, guys, if you're going to roll, if you're going to skip her, if you want to play with her as soon as possible, if you're going to S level 5 her, like everything that you want to mention, go for it on the comments. So, that's about it, and I'll be seeing you next time. Bye!